Hi, I'm Dr. Ashley Holcomb, and today we're going to talk about how to talk to a person who is feeling angry. We're going to talk about how to help them express what's really bothering them, as well as help them do it from a calmer perspective. Be sure to check out my first video in this series, which talks about how to help people who are feeling angry turn their anger into productive change. Before we begin, I want to clarify my intentions for this video. We all have to deal with people who are angry because we all get angry. Whether it's your teenage son who recently sprouted an attitude, or a coworker or a boss you can't stand, or the normal difficulties of a romantic relationship, we all need this skill. I made this video in particular because of the election. I'm filming this video a little bit before the election, and I'm planning on releasing this video the day before the election. But I think even beforehand, knowing how angry people are and thinking about how angry people are going to be within the next few days, as well as how angry people might be around the Thanksgiving dinner table, the Christmas dinner table, having uncomfortable conversations with family members and friends around politics. Unfortunately, anger is the water we're swimming in right now. And so that's really my true purpose for this video, is to help you navigate those waters in a way that is successful. That being said, there is a massive difference between normal amounts of anger and chronic anger. If you're living in a relationship with someone who's chronically angry, whether that's at home, at work, or some other kind of relationship, you are allowed to set boundaries, even to the extent that you don't want that person in your life anymore. These tools are designed to help you when someone's experiencing a normal amount of anger, right? Thinking about this holiday season with your family, or thinking about if you're a parent who has a child who maybe has some difficulties with anger. These tools are not intended to suggest that if you work hard enough, you can heal an abusive person. A person who is chronically angry is responsible for their own anger and for managing their own anger issues. And if, as I'm bringing that up, there's even maybe someone specific that's coming into your mind, I want to invite you to consider reaching out to a therapist to talk through what boundaries you want to set in that relationship, because you deserve to feel safe at home. Okay, let's dive into today's topic. When you're talking to a person who's feeling angry, it's really important to remember that they may have a really legitimate reason for feeling angry. And it's actually okay to feel angry so long as you're not hurting yourself or someone else. Often, the key to helping a person de-escalate from feeling angry is to validate their problem. The person may actually even use anger initially as a way of expressing the problem because they don't feel that there's another way they can express it safely. We see this often with men. A lot of times men are taught, grown men don't cry, don't be such a baby, don't act like a scaredy cat. And they get these kinds of messages from a very, very young age. And so when a man is feeling vulnerable or uncomfortable emotionally, he may start with a position of anger because it feels safer. This, of course, happens with women too, but I think culturally we see it more with men. So in summary, anger is an expression of an unmet need, but it's a need that the person may not feel safe to express in another way. The trouble is, it can be really uncomfortable to be around a person who's feeling angry, so people don't usually respond in a validating way. It's common for the respondent to either get kind of angry in return, to minimize it or try to make light of it or make a joke, or to just kind of become very passive, very quiet, and avoid. All of these responses make sense. It's uncomfortable to be around an angry person. But the problem is it's going to keep that person from feeling heard and feeling validated. So they're only going to become angrier. And they also might end up picking up the lesson that one has to yell in order to get heard. And we don't want them to learn that lesson, right? So let's think about this, kind of applying it to a scenario. I want you to imagine your Thanksgiving dinner table, and you might even know exactly which family member is going to start the conversation about politics. And you probably know exactly which family member is going to start by arguing right back and being defensive and kind of being aggressive about it. You can probably imagine which family member is going to go, "So, who saw the latest episode of whatever?" which is kind of a passive aggressive response. And you probably know exactly who's going to just shut down, walk out of the room, get really quiet. That's a more passive response. Again, all of these responses are normal, but I think there's an alternative that's going to be even more effective, and that's being calm yet assertive. When I'm talking to a client who's feeling angry, I think about a couple of things. If I am calm, I can make the whole temperature of the room feel calm. And I want you to remember that calm is more about body language and tone than it is about the words that come out of your mouth. So keeping a really open body posture, right? This is open, this is closed. So keeping an open body posture, even an open face posture, if you will, a calm tone of voice, that's going to make that person feel calm, but even everyone else who doesn't really know what to do or what to say, they're going to feel calmer by watching you do that. I often ask questions, listen to that person's perspective, and then reflect back what they're saying with compassion. So, for example, in my own conversations around politics, I might say something like, "Well, tell me a little bit about how you got passionate about this particular issue," or "What sounds like this really matters to you a lot." And by asking those questions, by responding with curiosity and with openness, very often, as soon as I kind of show that, the person's body language just relaxes and their tone relaxes. And suddenly we're having a conversation instead of them just yelling or becoming angry. In some cases, I may even facilitate them thinking through a few next steps on their end or committing to a change on my own end. There's other times where I have to hold my ground, but I can do it in a way that's calm and assertive. I want you to remember that you can't influence another person until they know that you know their perspective. So I might say, "Wow, it sounds like you're really passionate about this issue because of this, and this. And I see where that's coming from and how important that is to you. If I can speak a little bit from my perspective, here's why I might not agree with that perspective. Or here's, a few other things that we didn't talk about that are aspects of that issue." The calmer that I can do that and the more compassionately and kindly I can do that, the better that conversation is going to go. Today we talked about how to talk to a person who is feeling angry. And I hope that these tools can help you feel a little bit more prepared as we're all having difficult conversations around this election, as well as just for normal moments in which people become angry. In addition, if I can give you one piece of advice, don't get sucked into social media fights. It's not worth it. You're not going to feel better. You might not know that person, or maybe you went to high school with them a million years ago, but you're not going to influence them online. And in reality, it's only going to make you feel more bitter. It's just not worth it. And again, if you are in an unsafe relationship with a chronically angry person, these tools are not meant for you. These tools, they could help you to feel safe, to de-escalate a situation, to keep it from becoming violent. But you have a right to feel safe, and you have a right to establish boundaries in that relationship. So please, if that's you, reach out for professional help to find ways of setting boundaries, and especially if it is a violent relationship, to find ways of doing that to keep you and any children involved safe. Looking for more content like this? Don't forget to click below to subscribe and check out my other content. In particular, sometime in the next few weeks, I'm going to be interviewing a guest looking at red flags in relationships and how to spot a chronically angry person coming your way. If something struck a chord with you today, maybe you do live with a chronically angry person, or you're a parent to a child with anger problems, or you're living at home right now in a family environment where you really disagree and it's just causing lots of conflict. Don't wait another day to reach out for help. Therapy can be a really great place to process some of these interactions and to figure out how to make them discussions instead of arguments.